All right, day 422. Today we're looking at a 3-bedroom property in the zip code 35205. And today what I want to do is show you all how to look at a single family rental in the Birmingham, Alabama market. And today I was looking at just 3-bedroom properties and I came across this property. Now, the reason I looked at this property is because one has 2 bathrooms, so that's always a little bit more appealing to, especially for your family renters on Section 8. And this property, I mean, it has a pretty decent kitchen. Look at this. This is a very nice kitchen. I think a lot of people would be very happy to have a kitchen that looks like that. Now, the cosmetic side, you can see that the flooring leaves a little bit to be desired. Like I would definitely finish or refinish that flooring there. But the interesting part is that you see how these rooms are spaced out this way? It's almost as if you could probably wall off one of the rooms and create additional bedroom. And when you're able to turn it into a 4-bedroom property, chances are you can command a little bit higher rents as a 4-bedroom instead of a 3-bedroom home. Okay, so this room right here, I mean, assuming that fireplace is closed off, you probably turn it into a bedroom, a little bit more storage outside. Great. So this property is a 3-2, and what we're going to do today is analyze this property as is as a 3-bedroom single family rental. Tomorrow, maybe we'll think about it as a 4-bedroom rental, right? Just to kind of go through the different scenarios. Now, this property, going through all the photos that we just did just now, let's go ahead and plug in some numbers. So this property is listed for $100,000. So I'm going to plug in 99,999 right here. The renovations here is about, let me go plug in some numbers here. So I went ahead and plugged in some numbers here. So typically what I do is I always change out the toilets. I turn them into high pressure flush toilets just in case they're not, because I have a couple of these toilets at home and at my properties, and I've never gotten a clogged toilet call before. And if you think about it, if you have to get a plumber out there for a service call, it'll probably cost you about $200, and you probably had to replace the toilet afterwards. I mean, at that point, it's already $450. I must also get that taken care of now, today, so I have less to worry about, so it doesn't drain my time and my energy in the future. That's just a personal preference. Now, I'm assuming all the flooring is okay. So what I'm thinking is, like, if this home needs any sort of flooring replaced, the kitchen looks fine, but I might have to just replace all these flooring and replace it with subfloor. But I essentially just did, okay, well, what if half the home needs new flooring for LVP, $8 square foot? And then I'm assuming maybe just one of the rooms, maybe the flooring is pretty good. I just got to refinish and sand it at $4 square foot. That's pretty straightforward. I'm assuming the paint is pretty good, but who knows, right? So I'm going to set aside about half the square footage. So 1565 divided by 2 in row 86 at $3 a square foot to paint the place. So that gives me about $2,300. And again, all right, if it turns out to be better than expected, then great. I don't need to paint it, but at least I'm being a little bit conservative on my budget, because I've really come across properties where they are on budget, on time, every single time. It just doesn't happen that often. All right. Now, I got $1,500 set aside for the roof, just in case there's any issues. And I got $500 for landscaping in row 46 for any landscaping that I need to maintain before the property can be rented out. Great. Okay. So now I got $15,000 roughly for my rehab right now. Great. So now I get my rents. So in order to find out my rents, now typically I go to affordablehousing.com. I go to the owner section, the market rent estimator, plug in the address, plug in the bedroom count, and you're going to see that the here is roughly for 19 units within 1 mile radius, 1541. That seems a little high, to be honest with you, because look what I did. If I turn into a 4-bedroom, look what just happened. It actually went down by $500. Even though my rent went up. That just doesn't make sense. So for me, whenever I see these anomalies in the data, what I want to do is go and figure out, okay, well, what is really going on here? Let me go look at actual data. So if I go to Zillow and I go to the rent section, right, houses for rent, I'm filtered on 3-bedroom homes only, single family homes only, and I want to zoom in on the area that I'm in. So this property, if you look at the map on Redfin, this is in this area called North Titusville. So I want to stay within those big barriers, right? So I want to stay west of the 65 here. And ideally, if I could stay in here, that'd be great. If not, I don't want to go too much into South Titusville. Now, when I am here, I can see that, boom, here's a 3-bedroom home 3-bed, 1-bath. So obviously one less bathroom, right? But I mean, the condition of this home isn't bad, but it's $825 a month. Let's see what the demand is. 11 days on Zillow, 7 contacts. That's kind of what you want to see, right? I mean, you want to see 1 contact per day. So this isn't that cheap, right? Because then if it was super cheap, you would think you would see 11 days on Zillow and with like 22 contacts. We're not seeing here. Now, what else am I seeing here? 950, a 3-bed, 1-bath. This is a lot smaller, so I'm not going to look too deep into this one. Okay condition. This property is a 3-2, 1356 square feet. They just renovated this property. I mean, this probably is much more closer, but you can see that for 11 days on Zillow, it's only at 1 contact. So this rent might be a little bit too high. So again, right, you're making assumptions. You're trying to see what is the market telling. This property was listed for $1,050 60 days ago. And what's going on here? How many contacts does it have? 61 days, 5 contacts. Maybe something's wrong with the street, right? I mean, something's going on here that no one wants this home. Maybe it's a really bad street over here, right? You gotta see like this street right here, 950, 11, like no one wants to live here. Let's go across to this street. And again, this market is very street by street, right? So you gotta be very careful. 3 days, 0 contacts, 1,200. Okay, I'm not seeing anything. 3-2, 1140, 1,100. Ooh, this tells me, because it's been on the market for 11 days with 34 contacts, this is slightly underpriced at 1,100. Great. So now that if I think that this is slightly underpriced, then I might pursue right around 1,200, right? And this is all based off of your gut, your knowledge, right? We saw this property for $1,095, a lot of contacts. Saw this property that was a 3-2 for $1,250, and this was a little lukewarm, right? So I will probably be right around in the middle, 1,175 maybe as my rental assumption. Boom. And that's how you make a decision, right? You just want to understand, hey, is this property worth my time? That's what you want to understand. Is this property worth my time to investigate further? Meaning, is it worth me sending my contractor out there, paying him or her for her time to give me a bid for the project? I don't know. You have to underwrite the property first to see whether or not it's even worth your time. So that's why we're going through this exercise. All right. So the next item I want to get is my property tax number. So I'm going to get this from the Redfin calculator. See, in property taxes 45. Great. Let me plug in 45 right here. I think that's a little light. Definitely double check with your county assessor records. I mean, I'm paying at least $1,000. So let's at least bump it up to like $800 out. No, 680. Okay. Bump up my monthly insurance number from 77 equals 77 times 1.2, because I'm assuming, times, not multiplied, that when I turn this into an investment property, the insurance company is going to view this as a higher risk, right? So what they're going to want to do is figure out, okay, with this higher risk asset, we're going to have to charge more insurance premiums because it's a investment property. And that's very typical in a lot of markets and for a lot of insurers. So that's why I'm bumping it up a little bit. Then I'm setting aside 10% of my rents every single month for maintenance. So we know that the roof is going to get replaced in 10, 15, 20 years. I just got a bill for $15,000 to replace one of my roofs. Well, if you didn't set aside $100 for 100 months, I mean, you would be grossly overestimating your profitability because you underestimated your expenses. Don't be that person, right? Don't be that person and underestimate your expenses. 10% for property management expenses, very typical. And then you got 5% for vacancy. So you know the home's going to be empty at some point because someone always moves out eventually. So you got to set aside some money for those empty months. So those are all part of your vacancy expenses. Now, you can do a better job of analyzing deals and do a better job of screening your tenants and providing them a great experience to keep that vacancy down. That's definitely true. I mean, we've had plenty of affordable housing investors, Section 8 specifically, where people have had guests or tenants stay for 10, 15, 20 years, right? Not atypical stories, right? So now that you have this stuff in place, you got 11 point, we're going to put in the down payment here at 25%. And then my down payment is going to equal to my asking price, right? Times my down payment percentage in F19. That's going to equal to about 25 grand. At 2.5% for closing costs, $15,000 for my renovations. My financing amount is going to equal to my asking price in B4 minus my down payment percentage. So in this scenario, I'll be roughly financing $75,000. Your interest rates are probably closer to about 7.5% right now on a debt service coverage ratio loan. Now, 7.5%, if you are able to rent this property out for $1,175, you can cash flow roughly approximating $206 a month. If you buy that on a cash on cash return basis, that's a 5.8% return. Now, to me, right, obviously this is not investment advice. I'm not soliciting any investments on this call. Just showing you all the work I do every single day to get a little bit better. Staying consistent. That's all we're doing. All right. Now at $1,175, this yields me a 5.8% return. So for me, let's say my target return is 10%, right? And I'm not saying 10% is a magical number. You have to talk to your own investment professionals and advisors to determine why you even investing in real estate in the first place. What is your goal? And why do you want to pursue this type of asset in your portfolio? Because everybody's different. Some people might say, hey, I don't care if I make $200 a month. If I'm in a market where I buy $1 million properties and go 5% every single year, that's like 50 grand. That's a lot better than $200 a month, right? But everybody has their own strategy. Everybody has their own approaches for this type of real estate investing. So go find out why you want to invest in real estate, and then you can figure out where it makes the most sense to fit your strategy. So watch what happens as I lower my asking price to the cash on cash return in E9. If I go down to 80 grand, now all of a sudden, okay, now I can hit my 10% return. So assuming everything else stays constant, right? I can now cash flow $311 a month. That's a 10% return, assuming I'm still renting out for $1,175 a month. But this might be a deal at 80 grand. So you might say, hey, I'd be okay to put an offer on this deal for 80 grand if they want to accept it, right? That's your own personal preference. So for me, that might be an offer, but that for the seller, they might say, hey, I'm no way I'm gonna sell this for 80 grand. I just spent like $60,000 on all the renovations of this property. I'll be coming in as a loss. And that's okay. All the point of this exercise was for you to understand, hey, what price would I be willing to pay for this property to meet my own personal targeted return? This is just an exercise. Again, not investment advice, not soliciting any investments on this call. Just go through the exercise so you can understand, hey, where can I pull the levers in this deal? Because for every single property, there should technically be a price and a set of terms that make it a deal for you, right? If you got a home for $1, I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer, right? That's what I'm saying. For every property, there's a price that makes it a deal. You get a free home for $1, essentially. That's a slam dunk, right? Unless all the maintenance doesn't make sense for you or it comes with a lot more headache. Those are the decisions that you have to go through. All right. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you all are able to copy my homework today. You guys want, just analyze the same deal analyze today. 329 Theta Ave South in Birmingham, Alabama, 35205. If you guys want to copy the spreadsheet, just go to affordablehousing.io. Go to the Get Deal Analysis tool, put in your name, email, your phone number. That's the fastest way you get a copy of the spreadsheet. And my hope is that you start your own YouTube channel and you analyze deals every single day, because the only way you get better is by staying consistent and putting in the work so that you can give yourself the confidence that you know what you're doing, especially if that deal comes across the table and slaps you across the face. Will you recognize if it's a deal? I certainly hope so, especially when you look back at your own YouTube channel and think, hey, I've been going live I'm looking at deals for the past 422 days. Probably know what I'm doing. All right. Have an amazing Monday, everybody. I'll see you all tomorrow for day 423. Have a good one, everybody. I'll see y'all tomorrow.